What's happening, people? It's Odd Eyes Ian, and today we're taking a look at my fully powered Code Talker deck. Now, I can't take all the credit for this. I asked Tario Frost on Twitter. I did some play testing with Rodin Toden on EDO Pro, but I think we've put together a really, really good Code Talker deck. I'm really excited to show you guys what I put into this. I've put so much thought into making this deck so much better, so much more consistent, and having so many more options so that this deck just plays better. But yeah, without any more rambling, we're gonna go ahead and take a look at the fully powered Code Talker deck. Hope you guys enjoy.
Alright guys, so let's go ahead and start tearing into this upgraded Code Talker deck profile. And yes, my nails look like crap. We're gonna move on from that now that I've said something about it. But starting off with our monsters, we are running 3 Parallel Exceed. If we link summon a monster, we can special summon this monster from our hand to a zone a link monster points to, and then get another Parallel Exceed out of our deck and special summon it to our field. Just makes things a lot easier, gives us extra bodies for whatever kind of plays we want to use. But we do use Fireball Exceed Dragon in this deck, so it just makes things a lot easier. Moving on to 3 Backup Secretary. If we control a Cyberse monster, we can special summon this card from our hand, but we can only special summon the Backup Secretary once per turn this way. But it's just an extra body on board, and 3 opportunities to do that is never a problem. Moving on to our 2 ofs, we're running 2 Widget Kit. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can special summon 1 Cyberse monster from your hand in defense position. You can only use this effect of Widget Kit once per turn. And now we're running a nice little code package in here, along with our code generator, which we had in there last time, I believe. But code generator, if a Cyberse monster you control will be used for link material of a Code Talker monster. Goodness, sorry, let me straighten out these cards and then I'll read that. Alright, if a Cyberse monster you control will be used as link material for a Code Talker monster, this card in your hand could be used as material. If this card is sent from your hand or field to the graveyard as material for a link summon of a Code Talker monster, you can send 1 Cyberse monster with 1200 or less attack to your graveyard. Or if this card is on the field and used as material, you can add that card to your hand instead. You can only use each effect of Code Generator once per turn. But moving on to a new code monster in the deck, we were running 2 Microcoder. Same deal as Code Generator, except it lets us add a Sign Net Spell or Trap from our deck to our hand. Or if it's on the field, we can add a level 4 Cyberse monster instead. But we can only use each effective Microcoder once per turn. You know the drill. And then our last code monster in our deck is a Code Radiator. And I really, really love this card. I really love this secret rare in here. But same deal as the other 2 code monsters in the deck. But if we can target a monster that our opponent controls, change its attack to 0 and negate its effects. If this card is on the field as material, you can target 2 monsters instead. So I just like our new little, it helps us extend and it just helps us put stuff on board and blah blah blah. It makes things so much easier. And I just love the new additions to this deck. But moving on to Sea Archiver, if a monster is normal or special summoned to a zone of link monster points to, except they're in the damage step, you can special summon this card from your graveyard, or if it was there when the summon resolved, or your hand, even if not, banish it whenever it leaves the field. So basically, if this card is in your graveyard or your hand and you haven't used the effect already, you can go ahead and special summon it whenever a monster is summoned to a zone of link monster points to, but you banish Sea Archiver whenever it leaves the field. Moving on to Flame Buffalo. I wasn't running Buffalo for a while, but I find it very useful just to add extensions and put more cards in hand. It makes things so much easier. If this face-up card leaves the field, you can discard 1 Cyberse monster, and if you do, draw 2 cards. You can only use this effect of Flame Buffalo once per turn, but like I said, it allows for extension. Another new card, I believe, I can't remember what I had in this deck in the last video, but we're also running 2 Lady Debug now. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 level 3 or lower Cyberse monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Lady Debug once per turn. Now, of course, we are running 2 Clock Wyvern. We get to special summon a token by cutting its attack points in half, and it's also used for Cyberse Clock Dragon, so it just makes things a lot easier for a lot of different things. A lot of things in this deck that I added, just like I keep saying, make things a lot easier for the deck. Adds a lot more functionality, a lot more resources to it. But moving on, now I have only cut down Cyber Synchron to 1 copy, because I don't find myself going into Quantum Dragon as much as Clock Dragon or Firewall XE Dragon, so I thought it would be a little bit better to go ahead and just cut Cyber Synchron down to 1. But you can target 1 level 4 or lower monster you control and increase its level by its original level until the end of this turn. If your monster in the extra monster zone would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead. You can only use this effect of Cyber Synchron once per turn. So not only does it help with your synchro plays, but it does give you a little bit of protection once you have used it for a synchro summon or whatever. But we are also running 1 Dotscaper. I know this is a little bit, like, people like to run 3 Dotscaper, but Dotscaper's effect can only be used once per duel. So I only find it necessary to really run 1, because I mean, you only get benefit off of it once. So I don't see the reason for running more than 1. But if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can special summon this card. If this card is banished, you can special summon this card. You can only use 1 effect of Dotscaper, 1 effect per turn, and only once per turn. Sorry, you can only use 1 Dotscaper effect per turn and only once that turn. You can only use each effect of Dotscaper once per duel, like I just said. And now another monster we cut down Balancer Lord, because I don't normal summon very much my first turn anymore, and honestly Balancer Lord just nerfed our life points by 1,000, and any little bit of life points just help. So I nerfed him down to 1, but it still functions. It functions a lot better, honestly, with Balancer Lord just sitting at 1. And then we're also running a D-grade Buster, like we always have, just for an extra body on board. It makes things a lot easier, like I keep saying. And now a new addition, I believe it's a new addition, is Paladin of Storm Dragon. I love how I can't remember what I've had in my decks. You can ritual summon this card using Signet Ritual. At the start of the damage step, if this card attacks a monster, you can return that monster to the hand. You can tribute this card, special summon 1 level 5 or higher Cyberus monster from your hand or deck, but it cannot activate its effects this turn. You can only use each effect of Paladin of Storm Dragon once per turn. It's just a lot easier to get out than Cyberus Magician, but I do have Cyberus Magician sitting in side deck, so if that makes you feel any better, I do have it there. But it just bounces things back to our opponent's hand, which is always useful for us. Alright, now moving on to our spells and traps. Of course, in a Cyberus deck, we do need to run 3 Signet Mining. You can send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard and add 1 level 4 or lower Cyberus monster from your deck to your hand. You can only activate 1 Signet Mining per turn. But Signet Mining is just always a good extender no matter what turn it is. It just helps you get things out that you need. We're also running 2 Signet Storm. I love Signet Storm. It makes things so interesting whenever you're starting to lose a game and you take 2,000 points of damage. But all Link monsters on the field gain 500 attack and defense. Link summons of Link monsters cannot be negated. Once per chain, if you take 2,000 or more battle or effect damage, you can shuffle the face down cards in your extra deck, excavate the top card, and if that is a Cyberus Link monster, you can special summon it. Otherwise, return it to the extra deck. So it's just it doesn't say we had to banish it at the end of the turn or anything like that. We get a free Cyberus Link monster from our extra deck if we take 2,000 or more effect damage, battle or effect damage once per chain, not once per turn, once per chain. So if we're going against a burn deck or a beatdown deck, honestly, any kind of deck, Signet Storm can be great. Now we're moving on to a couple of one-offs. We do have 1 new card in here on the one-off side of Cyberus cards. We're running a Signet Fusion, a Signet Ritual. These are obvious reasons. But we're also running a Signet Codec now. I have a Signet Codec. I got my hands on it. If a Code Talker monster is special summoned from the extra deck to your side of the field, except during the damage step, you can target one of those monsters, not the one you just summoned. Add 1 Cyberus monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for Cyberus monsters, even if this card leaves the field. You cannot add other monsters with that same attribute to your hand by effect of Signet Codec this turn. You can only activate the effect of Signet Codec once per chain. Moving on to a few little tech options just to add consistency to the deck, a little bit of protection. We also have running 2 Twin Twisters now. Twin Twisters, everybody knows what Twin Twisters does. I'm not going to explain it. Everybody knows what Monster Reborn does. But we do have a new spell card in the deck. We are running a 1-for-1. I realize we have a lot of level 1 monsters now. We have the Microcoder, we have Dotscaper, but either way, 1-for-1 just helps us extend a little bit further, and it helps us get things out, and it helps with all of our plays. And now for our final 2 cards in our main deck, we're running 1 Limit Code and 1 Mirror Force. These cards have been in the deck since my first video on the deck, so I'm not going to explain them again, but that does it for our main deck. Alright guys, starting off with our extra deck, we are running Link Disciple, as we always have been running. Makes things a lot easier just to have an option for an extender, and it also gives us an easy extra attribute in our graveyard for access code to banish for its effects. A new card though, we are running 1 Clock Spartoy. It's 2 Cyberus monsters. If this card is link summoned, you can add 1 Cyanite Fusion from your deck to your hand. If a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, except during the damage step, you can target 1 level 4 or lower Cyberus monster in your graveyard, special summon it, mitigate its effects, but you can also not special summon monsters from your extra deck for the rest of the turn, except for fusion monsters. You can only use each effect of Clock Spartoy once per turn. Next up is as a Cyberus staple, sorry I couldn't talk there for a second, Splash Mage. I'm not going to explain Splash Mage, you guys have seen it everywhere probably. It's just like I said, it's a staple. Everybody knows what Splash Mage is. We are also running a Update Jammer. It's a newer card for this deck. Well, it's not new for the deck in general, but it's new for me. You can do 2 level 2 or higher Cyberus monsters once per battle during the damage calculation. If your Cyberus monster battles, quick effect, you can activate this effect, negate all other cards on the field until the end of the damage step. But damage calculation, for this battle, it uses each monster's original attack and defense. Also, an opponent's monster is destroyed by this battle and sent to the graveyard, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. If this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, the link monster can make a second attack during each battle phase of this turn. Goodness, I'm sorry, that one was a mouthful, but Update Jammer just makes the access code, whenever it's huge, it makes it able to swing more and just makes things so much smoother. We're running Cyberus Witch because we do still use the ritual stuff in here just for Firewall Dark Fluid, which we do still run Dark Fluid in here. We're waiting for the errata for Firewall Dragon. Don't you worry. As soon as that card comes out, I'm going to cover it. I'm going to get it in this deck, and we're going to party hard. Don't you guys worry. But next, we're starting off with our Code Talker monsters. Starting off with Shooting Code Talker, Power Code Talker, X Code Talker, E Code Talker, Transcode Talker, and of course, Access Code Talker. Big boy. Everybody knows the Code Talker monsters. The only one that actually got cut between this deck profile and the last one was Encode Talker, which is not a big deal. Encode Talker didn't really get used as much as other things. I'm not going to be too salty about cutting Encode, but we already had a couple of light options for access code, so I wasn't tripping too hard about it. But that does it for the Code Talker monsters. But now for our big boys, our dragons, we are running Cyberus Clock Dragon. Of course, he's on the thumbnail for the video. He does get used quite a bit, and he is usually our first turn swinger for this deck. And we're also running Cyberus Quantum Dragon, we're running Firewall Exceed Dragon, and Firewall Dragon Dark Fluid. I've been talking about these all video, so I'm really excited to get these guys out here. I really love my set, and including our Paladin Storm Dragon, we have the 5. We have the 5. I can't get them all 5 on screen. We have the 5 Cyberus Dragons. It's awesome, guys. But that does it for the deck profile. If you give me just a moment to shuffle up and get organized here, we'll do a couple test hands for you. All right, guys. So now that we're done cleaning up, we're going to shuffle on camera for you. Make sure you guys see all of the juicy little details. Yeah, wait. Okay, I think we're good to go. So we're going to go ahead and go second because this deck does go really well going second. So we're going to go ahead and pull out 6 cards. And we're going to go Microcoder. We're going to get a Sea Archiver. Very awesome. A Balancer Lord. Cool. A Limit Code. Very nice. A Cyanite Mining. Awesome. And a Widget Kit. Cool, cool, cool. Alright, so we have a lot of stuff we can do here. But first, we're going to go ahead and use Cyanite Mining. And we're going to pitch our Sea Archiver. Sea Archiver is going to go in the graveyard because we can use it regardless. And we're gonna search out. Oh, who do we want? We're gonna go Lady Debug. Shuffle up real good here. Okay. Now we're gonna go Balancer Lord. Balancer Lord effect. We're gonna pay 1,000 so we can get an extra normal summon this turn. Then we're gonna go Widget Kit for an extra normal summon because Widget Kit's effect's gonna go off. The Debug's effect's gonna go off and give us a level 3 or lower Cypress monster from our attack. Who do we want? Probably gonna pick a backup Cypress, to be honest. Now here comes the fun part. Now we're going to use Splash Mage and our code generator in our hand to link summon for Transcode Talker's effect. Actually, sorry. Code generator's effect is going to send our this is the problem with only running one. Dotscaper to grave. Perfectly fine. Because we're gonna get our Dotscaper back. Goodness. Transcode Talker. I don't think I've had this many bodies on board a lot. So many options. We're gonna save micro. Transcode Talker and a microcoder in our hand to get out our Access Code Talker. And now microcoder's effect is going to go off as well as Access Code Talker's effect, but we're going to go ahead and grab our Silent Storm. Even more protection for us, guys. Even more protection. So then we're going to play our Silent Storm to give all our monsters an extra boost. Access Code Talker's effect is going to choose Transcode Talker, so it's going to gain 3,000 attack points. But then we also have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, we have 5. But we also want to use Update Jammer in some way. I said we could use it for our access code, but we can also use it for Decode Talker, because Decode Talker is going to get a lot bigger with Silent Storm and all these other effects going off and all that. And we still get 2 more. We still have 5 total pops for access code. And we also have a limit code to put face down. So as you guys can see, this deck performs quite a bit better now, and I'm super happy with the way it works. I don't know what was holding me back from putting all this other code stuff into my deck, but Yeah.
Alright guys, so that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave the Code Talker deck profile. Again, I want to thank Tario Frost and Ronan Toten for the time they put into this deck with me. But if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell so when I upload new videos. Follow me on social media. All my links will be down in the description. Have a good day, everyone. I'll see you next time. Peace out.